This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 3rd day of November in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Appearing to have reached a dead end in the investigations of teenage cousins Joel and Isaiah Henry and 17-year-old Harry Singh, the Guyana Police Force today announced a $3 million reward for information that could lead to the arrest of suspects in the three murders. In a statement, the Guyana Police Force said the investigations into the murders are ongoing, and investigators are exploring every possible lead to bring the killers to justice. The mutilated bodies of Joel and Isaiah Henry were found in the cotton tree back dam on the west coast of Berbice on the 6th of September, after they went missing the day before. A post-mortem examination found that the two teens were badly beaten and chopped across their backs, severing their spines. They were also chopped to various parts of the body. The murder of the cousins led to protests along the west coast of Berbice. On the same day that the post-mortem was completed on the cousins, the body of the other teen, Harry Singh, was found in the number 3 village back dam, west coast Berbice. He was last seen alive the same morning. One of his relatives was initially arrested for questioning in relation to the murder of the teen cousins. That relative was released from custody eventually, as there was no conclusive evidence tying him to the crime, according to the police. Last week, the Guyana Police Force received the results of DNA samples that were sent to St. Lucia for testing. And according to relatives of the dead teens, they were told that the results do not link any of the persons who were arrested previously to the murders. The Guyana Police Force is now seeking the public's help to track down possible new suspects. The police force is asking for anyone with information to call the numbers 225-6411, 226-6978, 227-1149, 232-0213, or 911 to offer that information. More news coming up in a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
Ravinas and Water Street and Anans and Regent Street just received a new shipment of leatherette in over 16 colors. Leatherette can be used in a wide variety of applications, including covering speedboat seats, cargo, and keeping commuters dry. Ideal for minibus and car seats, leatherette can be custom made to your seating requirements. Leatherette is easy to clean and sanitize and a better choice during the COVID pandemic. For fast and comfortable shopping, visit us to get the best prices in town. Ravinas and Water Street and Anans and Regent Street.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed and we were right there, standing with you, always near, getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Welcome back. Well, hours after the Guyana Police Force announced that $3 million reward for information about the murder of the Berbice teens, Isaiah and Joel Henry and Harry Singh, the attorney for the Henry family, Nigel Hughes, said the offer of that reward at this time is an admission of failure by the police force with the investigations. Speaking during a press conference with family members of the murdered Henry cousins, Mr. Hughes said the reward is coming 9 weeks after the murders and appears to have been triggered by the family's decision to meet with the media today.
The Guyana Police Force this morning announced that they were offering a reward of $3 million Guyana dollars for persons who could provide information leading to the arrest. In the view of the family and my personal view, this was an admission of failure by the Guyana Police Force that they were unable to solve this crime. And clearly, after some 8 to 9 weeks of investigation, were in no better position than they were at the commencement of the investigation on the Sunday. And so they were now resorting to offering money for information.
The attorney also said offering rewards for information does not always lead to credible information being obtained, and that is a concern at this time.
That when rewards are offered for information that lead into crimes that have been committed, there are a lot of people who do not possess tangible, reliable information, but who perhaps are more interested in securing the reward that come forward with information that is less than reliable, and perhaps in some cases created. So it would now appear that the Guyana Police Force have effectively admitted that they have no tangible, useful information. They are not in a position to even limit the scope of potential suspects.
Mr. Hughes said there has still been no movement by the Ministry of Home Affairs or the government to engage a high-level team of forensic specialists from Argentina and Spain, who are prepared to come to Guyana and lend their expertise to the probe.
The police have offered $3 million, which is $15,000 in the hope that somebody will come forward with information to get professional, the best in the world, or one of the best in the world here, for the professional fee of $20,000, which is $4 million, plus travel on board, which probably add another $10,000-$15,000 to it, which is $7 million. I can't imagine why the state would not want to expend that sum on acquiring the forensic evidence from the forensic capacity, from the Argentinian and Spanish people, who clearly would be able to add resources to this investigation. Their capacity far exceeds any capacity in the Caribbean, and certainly exceeds any capacity the RSS has.
The attorney complained that despite a number of letters to the Home Affairs Minister and discussions with other government officials, the team is still to be engaged by the local police and the government. He appeared surprised that the team is still to be formally engaged. With reference to the investigations done so far by local police, Mr. Hughes revealed that it appeared as though a pair of trousers that one of the Henry cousins was found in was not sent for forensic tests in St. Lucia, along with other pieces of evidence. He revealed that the trousers that Joel Henry was found in was not the same one that he was wearing when he left home, and therefore he thought it would have been important for that piece of evidence to be submitted for tests.
Up to now, we have not found the primary crime scene. And that crime scene has not been located, even though the joint services searched the back down. The trousers that Joel Henry was wearing, those have not been sent for testing. I'm sure they have a particular size, so if they belong to someone, we would have a fair idea of the height of that person, build and girth of that person. The slippers of of Isaiah, the one-size slipper has never been found. In addition to that, if you look at what we found, if there's no significant evidence of blood anywhere in the back down that has been checked, then it means those young men had to have been removed from the back down to another location, murdered at that location, and then brought back and their bodies dumped in the back down.
Hughes also said the Guyana police force and the investigators have refused to share information about the pieces of evidence that were sent for the forensic examinations, and they have also refused to share the report that was completed and handed over to the local police by the regional security system team that visited 2 weeks ago to assist with the probe. The only word coming out of the government and the police force on that visit is that the team believes the Guyana police force has the capacity to investigate the murders. The attorney said based on the reward being offered now by the police, it is clear that the assessment by the RSS and its own work are now questionable.
I requested a copy of the report, both the RSS report and also the DNA scientific report that came back from St. Lucia. The Guyana Police Force investigator indicated that they could not share that with us for whatever reasons. I suppose they think there's sensitive information in there. The fact that they're offering $3 million for information would seem to suggest that may not be the most sensitive of information in either of those reports, but they had certainly declined to provide those reports to the family.
The Home Affairs Ministry and the police force have been mum on the investigations. The last press conference on the murders was done more than a month ago, and there has been a trickle of information on the investigation since then. Attorney Hughes said the murders have left a gaping wound in the country, and the murders must be solved. In the world of politics, the opposition APNU-AFC coalition has given the clerk of the National Assembly a 24-hour ultimatum to provide a copy of the citizenship renunciation certificate for the tourism minister Unish Waldron. The opposition has warned that the clerk's failure to do so will result in the commencement of legal proceedings. In a letter to the clerk of the National Assembly on behalf of the opposition leader, the Member of Parliament, Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford, chided the clerk for ignoring an earlier request by the opposition chief whip for the documents to be provided. The tourism minister has admitted that she was a dual citizen at the time of her appointment as a minister of government, but she has claimed that by the time she was sworn in as a member of parliament, her renunciation was completed. The opposition is not buying her story and believes that she was a dual citizen at the time of her swearing in. Under the Guyana Constitution, members of parliament must not have dual citizenship. Senior Counsel Ford, in his letter to the clerk of the National Assembly, said the APNU-AFC coalition is of the view that Ms. Unish Waldron is now unlawfully a member of the National Assembly, and it ought to be declared. The opposition party added that it is untenable for the opposition not to be provided with the information that it requested, adding that the inaction by the Speaker and the clerk on the unconstitutional appointment is unacceptable and constitutes a violation by the two to uphold the law. Just recently, President Irfan Ali said he believes that the minister's renunciation of her U.S. citizenship came before her swearing in as a member of parliament. Just before the opening of the National Assembly, the clerk had written to the parties requesting that those members who were dual citizens provide proof of their renunciation. The tourism minister only provided her documents after information became public 2 weeks ago that she might still be holding on to dual citizenship. For the second straight day today, Guyana recorded 2 more COVID-19 deaths. 4 deaths have been recorded in the first 3 days of this month, taking the total number of deaths in the country to 130. According to the Ministry of Health, the 2 latest victims are a 77-year-old woman from Region 2 and a 92-year-old man from Region 1. No other details were provided on the 2 persons. The COVID-19 death toll has been climbing steadily in the past 2 months, even as the Ministry of Health continues with its silence on the issue. 41 coronavirus deaths were recorded in September, with 44 additional deaths recorded in October. Add the 4 deaths recorded in November so far, and the number of deaths recorded since September 1 now stands at 89 of the total 130 deaths in the country. The Ministry of Health is now moving to finalize all preparations at the Infectious Diseases Hospital at Lilienthal to accommodate additional positive cases, according to the Health Minister.
Well, our expectations are that this week we should be able to substantially complete the ICU at Ocean View. Most of the things are in place, and so the staff at the Georgetown Hospital and the contractors there are trying to finish off the ICU. So by the end of the week, we should have substantially completed the ICU facilities there, and then we'll start the process of transferring patients across to that facility.
While just 7 new cases were recorded today, the total number of active cases in the country still stands at more than 750. A 42-year-old businessman who opened fire on a car that was turning around on his bridge 4 years ago in Tocqueville, killing a 24-year-old man and injuring his girlfriend, was today sentenced to 10.5 years in jail for the crime. The businessman Robert Ben appeared before Justice Navindra Singh today and pleaded guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter and intent to commit murder. It was in August of 2016 that the businessman fired several shots at the car that was turning around on his bridge, hitting the driver multiple times and also injuring the female passenger. The dead young man was identified as Colin Pereira. The young man's mother told the court that her son was killed for no justifiable reason, without a warning, and she wanted justice. The prosecutor also told the court that the businessman showed no remorse for the crime and should face a tough sentence. However, the man's attorney, Dexter Todd, explained to the court that his client has shown remorse and was also a model prisoner who assisted the prison service in setting up and executing a number of programs for the development of prisoners. The man has been behind bars since being charged for the crime 4 years ago. The judge sentenced him to 6.5 years in jail on the manslaughter charge and 4 years on the attempted murder charge. The sentences are to run concurrently, meaning the businessman will only spend 6.5 years in jail. But with him being behind bars for the past 4 years and the judge ordering that the time he served behind bars in the lead up to the trial be discounted from the sentence, the businessman will be freed within the next 2.5 years. A 32-year-old ex-police officer was today sentenced to 14 years in jail for the killing of a Sterling Product Security Officer, Wilfred Stewart, and GGMC engineer Trevor Abrams. The incidents took place 5 years ago. The ex-policeman Orrin Arthur appeared before Justice Navindra Singh to face the 2 murder charges and immediately opted to plead guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter. He admitted that on the 27th of February 2015, at Little Diamond on the east bank of the Demerara, he unlawfully killed GGMC officer Trevor Abrams. He also admitted that on the 24th of December 2014 at Providence, east bank Demerara, during the course of a robbery, he unlawfully killed Wilfred Stewart, the security officer at Sterling Products. He also pleaded guilty to 2 additional charges in relation to illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition. He was represented by attorney-at-law Dexter Todd. The attorney told the court that his client was the getaway driver for the crime and was following the wrong company and should have known better. The prosecutor was pushing for a much tougher sentence. The judge sentenced the former policeman to 14 years in jail on each of the unlawful killing charges and 3 years on the possession of illegal firearm charge. The judge ordered that the sentences run concurrently, and he also advised that the prison authorities deduct the time that the man spent on remand in the lead up to his trial. Across the region is coming up next. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
But as a people we have
Weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, Hurricaneetta approached landfall on Nicaragua's northern Caribbean coast this morning as a Category 4 hurricane, bringing catastrophic rains and winds at 145 miles per hour that blew off roofs and knocked down trees. By this afternoon, the center of Hurricaneetta was located about 20 miles south-southeast of Puerto Cabezas in Nicaragua. The storm was packing catastrophic winds of 140 miles per hour, a life-threatening storm surge, and potentially deadly coastal and inland flooding. The National Hurricane Center in Miami was predicting a storm surge of up to 14 to 21 feet near the coast. Moving west-southeast at only 3 miles per hour, Eta was set to affect much of the coast for an extended period. Sustained winds of 69 miles per hour and the gust to 103 miles per hour was measured in parts of Nicaragua. Jamaica's Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett is hailing the decision by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to lift its no-sail order for ships in U.S. ports as a step in the right direction. Speaking with JIS News in Jamaica, the tourism minister said that while it will take some time for full normality to return to the cruise industry, the move by the CDC is a win for Jamaica and other Caribbean cruise-dependent nations. He said that countries can now fast-track their preparations to meet all the expected protocols that will be required to welcome cruise ships. The tourism minister said the CDC has put the onus on cruise companies to prove that their COVID protocols are working, with specific testing requirements and trial runs before passengers can return. And finally tonight, international news. All eyes are on the U.S. tonight as the results come in for the most divisive presidential polls in decades, pitting the incumbent Republican Donald Trump against Democratic rival Joe Biden. Polls opened across the country this morning after a long and bitter campaign amid the coronavirus. The BBC reports that more than 100 persons cast their ballots in early voting, putting the country on course for its highest turnout in a century. Both rivals spent the final hours of the race rallying in key swing states. In the U.S. election, voters decide state-level contests rather than overall single national ones. Both candidates used Election Day as an opportunity to drive home the messages that they have been hammering to voters for the last few weeks. The two rivals have radically different policies on several key issues, the BBC says. They have clashed bitterly during the campaign over how to handle the COVID-19 pandemic and how best to handle the economy during the difficult period. The world awaits the results tonight. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.